viewers to the channel The World of Dai. I am MC Quan Thien, very happy to accompany you in today's video. Deep underground in Beijing, hidden in the darkness of narrowed tunnels and wild vines, there exists another world, a world that sunlight has never touched. There, hundreds of thousands of people live crowded like forgotten ghosts, trapped between floating dreams and harsh reality. They are the underground residents, the lowest class of society, pushed into the darkness by a city that has no place for them. Windowless rooms, only a few square meters wide, with a dirty mattress lying on the cold concrete floor. The air here is thick with humidity and the smell of sewers rising from the outdated drainage system. They work on the surface during the day, as service staff, construction workers, delivery people. But when night falls, they sink into the ground, returning to where Beijing wants to bury them forever. The authorities once called them the Rat Tribe, a derogatory nickname for those without legal rights to exist in the city. When the cleanup campaign began, the government ordered the demolition of numerous underground housing areas, forcing them to leave like refugees in their own country. No home, no household registration, no rights. They are even worse off than the oppressed Dalit class in India or Bangladeshis submerged by poverty. But unlike the Dalits, they have no community, no protection other than the dense night embracing them. Tea exists in Beijing, yet every brick of this city is soaked with their sweat. They are the forgotten ghosts, people the world above has never seen or pretended not to see. Today, we will explore the horrifying secrets hidden beneath Beijing, China's most prosperous capital. In 2017, in Beijing, a serious accident occurred at a garment factory in the basement of a residential complex. At that time, the external windows of the complex were blocked by iron bars, and passageways were obstructed by piled-up items, severely hindering escape routes. The incident ultimately led to the deaths of 19 people and injured 8 others. After this tragedy, local authorities began a large-scale safety inspection, which they believe was essentially aimed at clearing out the low-class residents, also known as the Rat Tribe. The concept of low-class residents sounds natural, but in reality, it's just a way to refer to people with low education levels, low income, and working in low-level jobs, including those of the Rat Tribe we're discussing today. They mainly come from rural areas or Tier 2, 3 cities, but for various reasons, they've come to big cities seeking opportunities. They do jobs considered low class and live in cramped, deficient basements. So, how do they live? And why do they choose to come to big cities to live in such difficult conditions? And why does the government want to clear them out? The basements where the Rat Tribe lives have extremely poor conditions. Not only is there no air circulation, but the space is filled with the stench of urine, feces, and various cleaning chemicals. The air quality is extremely poor because these spaces almost never receive sunlight. Walls in the rooms are covered with mold, peeling paint is normal. Some rooms don't even have doors, instead only curtains separate them from adjacent rooms. Every sound, even TV noise, can be heard clearly. Therefore, they have almost no privacy. More importantly, these spaces are not safe at all. Electrical outlets are overloaded, items are frequently piled up, blocking escape routes. If a disaster or accident occurs, they likely wouldn't be able to escape, and would suffer unfortunate fates. This difficult life, combined with food shortages in the big city, is an enormous mental and physical challenge for them. They often don't have enough money to see doctors, having to endure all pains themselves. This is Wei Quan, 27 years old, working as an insurance broker. After work, Wei returns home in a luxurious residential complex located in central Beijing.
However, instead of entering through the main gate, Wei takes the elevator at the side entrance of the complex to go down to the basement.
Deep underground, with a maze-like layout. That is Wei's home.
It is estimated that there are about more than 1 million such people among Beijing's 21 million residents. Most are migrants from other provinces. Pack your bags and go to Beijing with a dream of changing your life. It is the same dream that in 2013, President Xi told Chinese
and call on them to live with fewer dreams.
Work steadily to fulfill their dreams and contribute to the vitality of the nation. For most urban residents of Beijing, this dream means a life-changing transformation, ascending to the middle class, securing high-paying jobs, and receiving a proper education.
For immigrants, this dream is to earn money to send home, build a new house, and send their children to school.
Adding some capital to open a trading shop or set up a small production facility. And with a rat tribe component.
Their dreams are even much simpler, which is to find enough work to support themselves and a place to sleep. Annette Peckham, a professor at the University of Southern California, mapped the underground city beneath Beijing.
Annette discovered that the average size of a mouse nest is 9.75 square meters and the average monthly rent is $70. There is a basement containing 20 to 30 rooms, and some floors have up to 100 rooms or more. The laundry and cooking areas must be shared in a spirit of collectivism.
The basement has airtight doors because it used to be a bomb shelter, which he hurriedly built all over Beijing.
At a time when Beijing-Moscow relations were tense. Hailing from a small village in Henan, He Jun has tasted all the flavors of living in poverty. He dropped out of school at 14 and spent 3 years in prison starting at age 16 for car theft. My hometown does all sorts of jobs, from delivery, hired mourning at funerals, living room staff to telemarketers.
Wei, risking it all, went to Beijing and stepped into the world of the rat tribe.
Similar to He, Jiang Kai-Lu, 25 years old, works as an anchor and is also a professional house dweller. Jiang's dream is to escape upwards, meaning having enough money to buy a mid-range apartment instead of living in the dark basement.
However, whether they have the money to buy an apartment or not, people like Jiang or Kei are forever second-class citizens because of the household registration policy.
When seeing this situation, the first question that usually comes to our mind is,
can the minister accept living such a miserable life? Where did this space come from, and was it truly built to be a dwelling for humans or not? Regarding the residents of the rat tribe group, we can trace back to 1969.
At that time, China and the Soviet Union were in conflict.
Therefore, China has built underground cities as an air defense measure to counter artillery attacks. Later, disused air defense structures were converted into regular exhibition spaces. And the government leased these spaces to private companies, facilitating the development of underground apartments. As urbanization progresses, the population from rural areas is second and third-tier cities. They have returned to big cities to look for job opportunities. This leads to rising house prices and a widening gap between the rich and the poor. Those who cannot afford above-ground housing are forced to seek shelter underground.
And while the government still passively allows the situation to continue, the rat people tribe has been living in those underground tunnels. In February 2013, during a visit to a poor village in Ansu, Xi Jinping told the villagers,
"The government will support the people." In December 2012, the U.S. letter collection also conducted a tour with a similar message in a poor rural area of Hebei. On February 4, 2013, Beijing announced the detailed plan for the poverty alleviation program.
And narrowing the rich-poor gap with 35 points, including raising the minimum wage, increasing the education investment budget, housing support, etc.
The government also set many ambitious goals, including doubling the average income from 2010 to 2020.
In reality, every day still brings countless stories showing the rich-poor gap continues to widen.
From the heat of the necessary development explosion, many problems arise. For example, a new generation, known as mortgage slaves, or lifelong slaves who must toil to pay off the debt for their apartment or mortgage.
A 150 square meters apartment in a large city is currently worth the equivalent of 40 years of average annual income. Bloomberg says that installment payments for homes in the U.S. account for up to 9% of the average monthly income.
Meanwhile, the obesity rate in China is 30 to 50%.
China currently has 2.7 million millionaires and 251 billionaires, but at the same time, 13% of its population, approximately 170 million people,
living on less than $1.25 a day, according to United Nations data. Bloomberg also reported that the assets accumulated in 2011 by the 70 wealthiest Chinese legislators,
amounting to $89.8 billion compared to a mere $7.5 billion for the 616 top U.S. political figures, consisting of 535 members of Congress, the president, and the entire choir.
Acknowledging the wealth gap in their country, the Beijing government stated that the income of the richest is 23 times that of the poorest.
However, the China National Economic Research Organization believes the actual disparity ratio is 65 times.
The question arises, with such difficult living conditions, why can this group still endure? And why do they choose to live in big cities, similar to the Dalits? There are many reasons why this group comes to big cities, but they can be divided into two main factors. First is career development factors, second is economic factors.
Regarding career development, rural areas mainly rely on agriculture, lacking resources and development opportunities.
And there aren't many job options to choose from.
Many rural Chinese have moved to big cities to pursue the Chinese dream, seeking opportunities to express themselves.
If lucky, they can survive in the city and build a better future for their children. This is quite similar to the situation in Taiwan, where people flock to big cities hoping to change their lives. However, a major difference in China is the economic factor, not just earning more money in the city,
but also that staying in rural areas might make it impossible for them to make a living.
Some people, due to barren land and low productivity, cannot continue farming. Others even had to migrate to cities to find work because their land was confiscated by the government. Although the ideal is there, China's household registration system makes the Chinese dream hard to achieve. A Chinese person's household registration can determine their fate. Since each city has its own household registration system and policies, along with job, healthcare, and education benefits, those without household registration in the city cannot fully enjoy the welfare. In particular, China's household registration system is very strict, unlike Taiwan where people can freely move to any city. In Beijing, the place with the strictest household registration control, even if you have a house, car, and job, you might not get household registration.
According to the latest regulations, there are three main ways to become an official resident of Beijing.
One is through connections with relatives. Two is through employment. And finally, through outstanding labor achievements.
Obtaining household registration through employment has four main. The first category is people with high educational qualifications or returning overseas students.
The second category is recent graduates who can work at certain companies. The third category is people working in high-level professions. And the fourth category is entrepreneurs who contribute to Beijing's economic development. However, for this group, obtaining household registration is extremely difficult. Not having household registration means not being able to enjoy city benefits. But they can still earn a living and have a better life compared to rural areas. Some still believe that government policies are for the common good of the country. And they believe that in the future, everyone will have the opportunity to change their lives. After the 2017 fire incident, the Beijing authorities launched a 40-day safety inspection campaign.
This campaign is large-scale and comprehensive. The government claims the campaign's goal is to enhance social security,
maintain social order, and balance investment capacity. In reality, the authorities started closing old warehouses, factories, or rental apartments,
cutting off water and electricity, and requiring residents to relocate within a set deadline.
Additionally, the government banned new immigrants from entering the city. Anyone wanting to stay would be forced to move or face administrative detention. The group directly affected by this policy is this one. And ordinary workers, such as construction workers, cleaners, delivery personnel, etc. Low-end population. Low income or working in occupations considered inferior.
Some argue that while the authorities acknowledge the goal is to strengthen investment security,
the actual goal might be to improve Beijing's image
as a more upscale city, while creating more space for high-tech industries to develop.
However, residents in the city facing this situation hold different perspectives. Some local residents believe that the rat tribe is a potential threat to society,
as they could increase crime rates and cause real estate values to continuously decline. Therefore, they strongly oppose the presence of this group.
Even the landlords of the rat tribe members often cooperate with the government to prevent foreigners from contacting them. Some even criticize the rat tribe as parasites in the community, abandoning rural work, and trying to join the middle class to conceal their origins. However, there are also those who sympathize with the rat tribe. They understand that in China, everything depends on relationships. Without relationships, it's difficult to succeed or get a good job. Even with high education, if you're not a local, you might still be seen as someone trying to climb into the upper class. Members of the rat tribe view their lives with resignation.
Because from the moment they decided to come to the city, they were mentally prepared for a difficult life.
However, there are also optimistic people who believe that at least they have a place to live and don't have to struggle on the streets. Although living conditions are terrible, they can still earn enough to live and have a better life than in rural areas. Some still believe that government policies are for national benefit and that in today's China, everything has opportunities.
After the large-scale safety inspection in 2017, Beijing authorities continue to conduct residential clearances every winter.
However, online information and discussions related to this issue were often quickly removed.
Especially after the pandemic, control in Beijing has become increasingly strict.
Those expelled from the city have almost no chance to return and make a living. Besides Beijing, cities like Shanghai, Shenzhen, Fujian, Zhejiang have also implemented similar policies, clearing residents and implementing population control measures. According to a 2020 report from Taiwan, there are over 1 million people in the rat tribe across China, but the exact number is still difficult to determine. Some speculate that when seeing the circumstances of the rat tribe, we feel very heartbroken. Our team has many young people from different provinces who come to the city to work. When renting houses, people often feel sad and angry seeing houses with such terrible conditions. Many even feel indignant toward landlords who rent out such houses. Not only in China, but in any country, life in big cities is always challenging. If the Chinese government becomes more determined in clearing low-income residents, the future of the rat tribe may become even more bleak. The phenomenon of rural populations flocking to big cities may indicate regional development imbalances in the country. This is a structural problem that cannot be blamed on any individual or group. The next question is, what solutions can help the rat tribe improve their lives? Currently, in most developed countries, due to early industrialization, urbanization also started early. The characteristic of urbanization here is the relatively high growth rate of urban populations and the strong formation of megacities, urban clusters, and supercities. However, the rate of urban population growth in these countries has recently begun to slow.
Meanwhile, the population explosion accompanied by urbanization explosion in developing countries continues to show an increasing trend.
A special feature of this process is the attraction of rural residents to big cities, primarily the capital, to seek better-paying jobs. High urbanization rates have led to imbalanced development between urban and rural areas. In developed countries, urbanization development contributes to national progress, but also creates pressure on economic and social issues alongside population pressure. With the increase of unskilled rural labor migrating to urban areas, the challenge of creating jobs and housing for them is not easy for urban authorities.
According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, abbreviated as OECD, by 2025, 1 billion new jobs will be created
to meet the job-seeking needs of the growing urban population in developing countries. Additionally, the rapid development of urban areas in developing countries,
accompanied by environmental pollution, housing shortages, and clean water are chronic problems in these cities.
Besides Beijing, in Sao Paulo, Brazil, statistics show that millions of people have to live in temporary shelters lacking basic amenities. Overcrowding and excessive development in city centers lead to urban environmental consequences. Mexico City is the most classic example, with over 90% of the city's space used for building houses.
While open spaces account for a quite modest proportion,
the proportion of green space in this city is much lower than in the most densely populated cities in Europe or North America. Therefore, for effective urban management, countries need to build roads, bridges, drainage systems, water pipes, and housing with a sense of responsibility. While solid waste treatment systems as well as green spaces and air pollution issues also need timely resolution. This is a challenging task for urban managers in any country, especially in developing nations with rapidly growing populations. According to World Bank experts, for developing countries, regional planning and urban management are extremely necessary.
To bring about good and sustainable development space for the entire area,
as well as meet the employment, housing, and healthcare service needs of different urban population strata. In various surveys from small to large, Singapore has consistently been ranked by world-leading experts as a livable, sustainable, and well-developed city globally. It can be said that Singapore's creative planning, smart design, and sustainable urban management and development are valuable experiences that countries worldwide can learn from. This is the lesson of a country with rapid urbanization speed,
and providing its people with quality life ensuring sustainable development. Singapore has achieved civilized, modern, and environmentally friendly urban landscapes as seen today. First and foremost, thanks to the comprehensive 1 to 5,000 master plan established very early, since 1971, and implemented until now.
Singapore's master plan divides areas into high-rise zones over 10 floors,
medium-rise 3 to 10 floors, and low-rise zones of 1 to 2 floors, and considers the preservation of ancient architecture as well as the cultural identity of 4 ethnic groups: indigenous people, Chinese, Malay, and Indian. The master plan also demonstrates the connection of infrastructure, clean water, drainage, wastewater treatment, electricity, and telecommunication invested by the state.
By focusing on developing clean industries,
Singapore builds satellite urban areas to reduce commuting costs,
saving on living expenses and solving local employment. Bringing nature closer to people is the principle of urban management. Respecting nature, blending nature and urban areas to help soften the harsh aspects of an urban landscape with numerous buildings. By implementing strategies like gardens in the city, wall gardens, rooftop gardens, gardens anywhere, Singapore now has one of the world's highest green coverage rates. Additionally, Singapore has maximized the potential of public spaces by effectively combining commercial and recreational activities to bring satisfaction to residents. Right from implementing Singapore's General Development Plan from the 1960s to 1970s, the government conducted numerous public awareness campaigns,
promoting civilized living in public areas, high-rise residential zones, and explaining the advantages of living in high-rise buildings, thereby gradually forming a habit for people to live in high-rise apartments.
All houses, streets, trees, and vehicles are clean, with no litter due to strict legal regulations.
And the residents here are so conscious that it can be called civilized self-awareness in daily life activities.
Thanks to this self-awareness, the Singapore government saves significant costs in preventing environmental pollution, waste treatment, or violations.
Singapore has also applied low-energy strategies in buildings while developing an efficient public transportation system.
This is an overall strategy to reduce energy consumption and ensure sustainable development. Singapore combines high-rise buildings with low-rise buildings, creating an undulating skyline that doesn't appear chaotic to reduce the feeling of congestion in a limited space. Japan faced a period of high economic growth due to rapidly increasing population concentrated in large cities, leading to uncontrolled and spontaneous urban development. To address this situation, Japan introduced measures to limit and control urban expansion, proposing urban infrastructure construction plans through a zonal division system, including urban adjustment zones, urbanization promotion zones, and urban expansion zones. Another country learning is Japan.
This country has expanded and developed urban areas by building new urban zones, aiming for urban development harmonizing with the environment.
Currently, Japan has achieved goals in building smart city models, green and ecological cities.
Urban development projects include urban residential area development projects and infrastructure construction projects. These projects all require ensuring urban environmental quality and satisfying stakeholder groups involved in development. Urban residential area development projects are divided into two types. First are new urban development projects linked to industrial zones, economic zones, and redevelopment projects of existing residential areas.
Projects that contribute to refining urban master plans. Based on projects identified in priority order, feasibility studies are conducted. In project planning areas, issuing permits for land use function conversion,
from compensation for site clearance to architectural construction, are all emphasized.
With current and future population trends,
Japan will build compact, environmentally friendly cities, reduce CO2 emissions, enhance public transportation convenience, and develop central urban areas, while implementing smart strategies to consolidate suburban areas into sustainable urban zones. Recently, the Japanese government has called for a 25% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions through the implementation of carbon tax policies to firmly reduce carbon emissions to the lowest levels in major cities.
Japan's urban development towards environmentally friendly harmonious cities is clearly demonstrated in Tokyo. Tokyo City is planned with a vision and development goals for infrastructure, environment, security, culture, tourism, and high-tech industries. To implement the planning and achieve the set goals, the Tokyo government established a center
for building carbon-minimizing cities and developing green urban areas to create and carry out key strategic projects.
Tokyo has deployed several exemplary projects such as
strategies for using energy-saving technologies, cities maximizing renewable energy usage, building sustainable transportation systems, developing new environmental technologies, and establishing environmental business sectors,
transitioning towards carbon reduction.
A key project is the restoration of Tokyo's landscape based on water elements and green corridors.
This project helps connect existing green spaces as well as develop new green areas.
It can be said that in Japan, the Tokyo metropolitan government has preceded the national government in establishing numerous pollution control policies to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Tokyo has called for a 30% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2020 and 80% by 2050.
Reducing dependence on fossil fuels by establishing appropriate frameworks for renewable energy, energy conservation technologies, and multimodal transportation systems. Tokyo's environmental policies demonstrate the determination to provide a clean and safe environment for all city residents. Environmental protection must go hand in hand with economic growth. The Japanese government also emphasizes the leading role of it,
and Tokyo's model has been replicated in most Japanese cities, even spreading to neighboring countries.
Currently, in the development process, all cities worldwide are aiming for sustainable urban development goals.
Lessons learned from urban planning and management in countries like Singapore and Japan will help in policy formulation and planning to create better environments for cities worldwide. What do you think about today's video? Please leave your comments below.
Click subscribe to the shadow_archives channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the latest. For now, goodbye and see you again. Subscribe to the Gia Nigo channel so you don't miss exciting videos.